Today's a really exciting day. We have a new trailer for a Star Wars game, a Starfighter Star Wars game. It's called Star Wars Squadrons. I have been a big fan of really any video game that gets me in the cockpit of a ship for a long time. I played Rogue Squadron, I played EVE Online, I played Star Wars Galaxies, and Battlefront 2 had a great mode, but they announced this like last week, and we just had like a little splash image, and now we have suddenly have a trailer. Uh, this is coming to us from Motive Studios. Uh, for those that are not up to speed on the very exciting history of Star Wars games, Lucasfilm made LucasArts, and for decades they made all sorts of games, not just Star Wars games, lots of famous games. But there were a lot of really cool Star Wars Starfighter type games. Some of the first ones were the X-wing and Tie Fighter series for I don't know if it was PC, computer, MS DOS, or something like that. I never played them, but they were more on the kind of realistic, like flight sim side. And then we got the Rogue Squadron series for the N64 and GameCube, with the Battle for Naboo side kind of side game, and those were a little more on the the flashy side, um, a little less realistic, and I played those a lot. Then after that, we had Star Wars Galaxies had a Jump to Lightspeed expansion, which was like right in the middle, where you could outfit your ship with like all different parts. You could customize it, um, but you could still like kind of just use a joystick and point your ship where you wanted to go, and it was pretty chill. Um, but there hasn't been a ton since then. The original Battlefront one had some ships like in the air. Battlefront 2 from 2005 that everyone loved had a really cool, like really fleshed out space thing where you could board other ships and fight enemies on their ships, which was really, I think, fondly remembered by a lot of people. Um, and but after that, we didn't have a lot. LucasArts kind of, I say kind of, they seriously floundered. We went from The Force Unleashed to stuff like Star Wars Connect, and I haven't played Star Wars Connect, but I'm not going to play Just Dance doing the Han Solo dance. That's just me personally. No shade to anyone that really enjoys that, but I was hoping for something else, you know? Um, and with the Disney acquisition of Lucasfilm, Disney's in charge and they're doing their whole thing. They don't actually know how to run a game studio. They bought up a whole bunch of game studios and they closed all of them. They shut they were closing them, and then they shut down their games division, and they just said we're gonna license stuff out to other to halfway competent companies. And I say halfway because EA has gotten a lot of flack. Just it has a reputation for not running things well and just taking advantage of consumers and stuff for the sake of the profit margins, um, with stuff like microtransactions in games and just that sort of thing. But LucasArts was kind of not doing anything. They got dissolved, and so Lucasfilm gave the licensing rights for video games, Star Wars video games, to EA, and EA came out with Battlefront One, and I know, I mean, there's Battlefront 2, 2005, then there's Battlefront 2017, or just no 2015, and so Battlefront One had, or Battlefront 2015 had a really cool fighter squadron mode, but it was pretty. There wasn't a lot to it. Like you showed up, you fought enemies in the air, and it was like always in the air over a planet, and then like occasionally you would have to blow up a transport. Really simple stuff. You you could like fly some hero ships, which was kind of cool, but like the controls just weren't great. You didn't fly the ship. You pointed it where it wanted to go. It was just, it's kind of hard to explain, but the way that the targeting worked and the way that you just moved your cursor to the thing and then shot the thing, and your ship was just doing like whatever it needed to do to get to that position. And like, I mean, I enjoyed it because I always enjoy that stuff, but people didn't like it that much. So we got Battlefront. Um, I mean, what even else did we get? The Uncharted like game from Viking got canceled, presumably. Um, and um, we did we? I don't think we even got anything between the Battlefronts. EA's been doing a bunch of different experiments with in the mobile space for Star Wars. I play Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. It's whatever. I play it. I don't recommend people play it, um, and just all sorts of other stuff. But people have been really dying to sink their teeth into some more like kind of AAA type games from for Star Wars, and not microtransaction phone games. So then we got Battlefront 2, which was amazing. Don't I want you to just forget about the microtransaction stuff at the beginning. I mean, they worked their butts off over at Dice. This is Dice that made these games. They make the Battlefield series. So that's a studio in Sweden. And they made the Battlefront 2015. Now we have Battlefront 2 2017. And I mean, they worked their butts off to fix the microtransaction thing. They totally and completely revamped the progression system, and just very high quality work. And the game was exactly what people asked for. I mean, we got classes, we got battle points, we got all sorts of heroes, and I really enjoyed the Starfighter Assault mode, and it kind of took a scenario based approach, like the Galactic Assault ground based mode, where you were in a scenario and you had to like do something, and there was always an attacking and defending, and it wasn't just dogfight. It was like maybe dogfight and then blow up a shield generator and then like take out a star destroyer, like really cool stuff. And the really cool thing that they did, and this was actually, um, I'm sorry, it was Criterion. Criterion is the studio that, so Dice did like the soldier shooter bits, and Criterion was the studio responsible for the Starfighter stuff. So this was all kind of what they did, and it was really great. They had lots of hero ships, and you had a lot of like one-to-one control over your ship. You could roll, you could pitch, yaw, like whatever you want. And I really enjoyed it. I've been thinking about making a guide for it for the Starfighter Assault mode. If you want to see that, let me know. Um, the problem was that it was a live service game, but they were it was really Dice that was doing it. So we got a lot of content for the like ground stuff, but not really anything in with regard to space, except for like one update, or maybe two. But Criterion actually was dissolved, so that was fun. So really there was like no chance to kind of build much more in that space. But the people over at Dice, that I gotta give them a shout out. They're so cool. I met a bunch of them at Star Wars Celebration last year. They're so nice. Their work is so high quality on Battlefront 2. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. And if you're on PC, let me know, we can play. So that was all really great. It was a little sad that the Starfighter stuff stagnated a bit. We didn't really get much in the way of content compared to the rest of that game. But live service is winding down anyway, so we kind of. But I mean, we got so much; it's great. But so then after that, not Criterion. I'm sorry, Respawn gave us Jedi Fallen Order, which did really really well. I loved it. I played it, loved it. So good, highly recommend. Um, but we didn't get anything after that. We the Uncharted like got canceled, and other than the mobile stuff, there really wasn't any information. But now we have Star Wars Squadrons, which is, I mean, I'm really happy. I don't know anything about this game yet. I haven't looked at the trailer. But it is from Motive Studios, and Motive actually did the single player campaign mode for Battlefront 2, which I really liked. I don't know what that means for this game. I mean, it would make a lot of sense for it to be multiplayer, but with Motive's history of doing the campaign stuff, and I really like the campaign stuff. Iden Versio, the Inferno Squad. I thought that was a just really great arc and all that stuff. So we're gonna see what this game has in store for us. Let's find out. Game engine footage. We're in an X-Wing. We're a pilot. TIE Interceptor, asteroid belt. Ooh, that's cool. Was that lighting or paint on the helmet? Wow.
Think you can escape?
It's paint. Very cool. Yeah, classic Star Wars space stuff. Green Squadron. We got some Architens, U-Wings.
Pilots,
We got red.
you are the Empire's strength. We do not
Okay.
accept defeat.
So story.
Remember why we fly?
Oh no, was that Hera? Oh no, I'm gonna have a conniption.
For the new republic.
Wow. I'm gonna have to watch this again.
Vengeance will be ours.
TIE Raider. There's so much going on. Okay.
Seize that moment.
I'm the perfect shot.
Torpedo. They're building Corvettes.
History.
Rebel shipyard.
5 pilots.
5 pilots. A Trando.
Squadron.
The galaxy's finest.
Wow. That's a cool effect. Wow. That's pretty cool. Alright, I gotta just real quick. That, oh my goodness. So just right off the bat, we got Harrison Dula from Rebels right here on the right. Let me just look at it for a second. Oh, that's so cool. I love it. And that looks like Wedge. So this looks really cool. Is that a, oh it is. Oh, that's so cool. This is a Starhawk. Okay, I'm gonna go through it piece by piece, so I'm gonna stop gushing. But it looked really cool. So clearly a campaign-based game purely. Like maybe they'll have like it would be cool if they would have a multiplayer thing, kind of like how Republic Commando had. It was mainly like a campaign, but then there was a like a kind of fun multiplayer. That didn't. It was pretty basic. Like the Battlefront 2 stuff, they were all each individual like space scenarios, so that had a lot of work put into it. Maybe it would be something more basic like dogfight. But it looks really cool. I am not up to speed on all of the canon at the moment. Like I'm following along with some stuff and not others, like the shows and whatever, but I'm not caught up in the comics. And there's a novel that I haven't read called Alphabet Squadron, and it is just kind of a motley collection of pilots for the Rebels. I think it's Rebel Alliance, might be New Republic, not sure. And as far as the comics go, I know that there's a new pilot, like a TIE pilot series. I don't know the name, but so it looks like this could be a tie-in. That would dovetail pretty nicely. I don't really know any of like what any of the main characters are in either of those series, so I would not be surprised if there's a tie-in, but it also could be totally unrelated. The really cool thing about the current Star Wars regime, as it were, is that they actually have a story group at Lucasfilm, composed of like Pablo Hidalgo and Leland Chi, and just like their jobs are to know about Star Wars, and um, so the really nice thing is that instead of having all these different departments, all the stories end up going through them, and like obviously the films have more kind of creative freedom to do what they want with the canon, clearly, but so I mean, this, if the trailer, and I haven't even looked at it yet, is any indication, and compared to the references in like Battlefront and stuff, and the ways that Battlefront was tied into other canon stuff, this looks pretty promising as far as like someone that, for people that are really into like trivia and canon and stuff. But let's look at it again really quick. So I mean, these are X-wings. They are the regular T-65 X-wings. So we know that this is like, um, if it's not during the time of the Rebel Alliance, it's pretty soon after the formation of the New Republic, because we didn't get um, the T-70s. So the T-70s that we see in uh, the sequel trilogy in the Force Awakens, they, by that timeline, were like old. So we got the T-70s like not too far after, but you know. And this lady is obviously this main character. It's not super often we have TIE pilots with markings, because, or really any Imperials with markings, but this TIE fighter has, can't really see it there, but it's got red stripes on the side, on the panels, and then this guy has really cool skull pattern. So they didn't name any squadrons. The Rebel squadrons are usually, the Imperials are usually whatever. They're just kind of en masse, but the Rebels are usually named after colors. And these folks, this X-wing definitely has green markings, which the only time we ever saw a green squadron was in Rebels with led by Hera, and it was like one episode. But we got this cool little asteroid thing, single dogfight. They're all stressed. So there's the green on the so as far as the music goes, they are repeating this, it's da na 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 da na. That's from the asteroid chase in The Empire Strikes Back. And I think it's a very, we've had a lot of dogfights, but they were all very kind of embedded into the story, and like the music really I think reflected that. Like, during the Battle of Yavin, when you're listening to the music, like, kind of what part of the fight you're in, but the asteroid chase, I think, is very kind of quintessential Star Wars starship kind of music. We saw it a lot. It was used in a whole sequence in Solo, which was fun, also in Asteroids. um, but we got some X-wings, we got some A-wings, we got a U-wing right here. These are all Arca-10s, light cruisers, which are pretty standard. We saw some of those in Battlefront 2. They were in the Clone Wars. We have a big ol' Mon Calamari capital ship. A hangar. Looks like just any old Imperial hangar. So we got this guy. I don't know what his deal is. I wonder what engine this game is running on, because the Battlefront games, I think, ran on whatever Battlefield runs on. Maybe it's CryEngine. I could be wrong. No, Frostbite. Excuse me. They run on Frostbite engine. I don't remember what engine Fallen Order used. That might have been Unreal. I'll have to check. But what I'm trying to say is that all this stuff looks really good. They used a lot of motion capture in the Battlefront 2 campaign. So that was Motive. That was these guys, and that was all really great. And then Respawn did a whole bunch of motion capture for Jedi Fallen Order, obviously, because it was a story-based game. So this promises to look really great. They're clearly like using someone's likeness, which looks really cool. I don't recognize that lady. There, it's the only like female official that we really know or care about is Ray Sloan, but she doesn't look like that. We got a lot of. I like that we're getting a lot of ladies because it was very kind of homogenous, and like that's the point. But I just like that they're putting more and more ladies and stuff, and she's got these scars, and it's the same guy, I think. Yeah, he's got a scar. Yeah, so it's like green with a little bit of blue, which is interesting. Well, this person has a robot arm, which is cool. We're on a. Looks like we're on a ship. So this is what I'm excited about. So I think there's a line in here about the New Republic, but more importantly, well, Hera. I already gushed about Hera. The camera's gonna pan over, and I'm 90% sure that's Wedge Antilles. But this just looks like a little battle hologram. But what I want to talk about is this Starhawk class capital ship, because we, the Starhawk was the first like capital ship that the New Republic built from the ground up. They designed it, they built it, and we have known about them since the Aftermath trilogy. The New Republic used them in the Battle of Jakku against the Empire, which was the kind of last battle that ended the Empire, which I think was 3 or 5 years after Return of the Jedi. The Battle of Jakku is the battle that put all the wreckage onto Jakku for Rey to be scavenging. And we knew that Starhawks took place in that, or took part in that fight, and we even had fire support from one during the Battlefront 2 campaign, which was kind of cool. It was literally just like you call down an orbital strike. But the whole thing is that we didn't know what they looked like. We had no idea what these cool ships. They were described as having like an arrowhead or like a hammer design in the front. And I don't know about other people, but I've been really excited to see what it looks like. And we finally got our first look because I think they added it to the X-Wings miniatures game. So that was kind of, I mean, arguably a little lackluster for a ship that we've heard so much about for so long. But I am very excited that we are going to have a whole bunch of it, presumably, in this game. And it's just going to be really cool because it's really one of the Rebels' first, or New Republic's first ships that are built to fight. They're not scavenged, they're not old, they're new. So that's just really exciting. I don't recognize this Mancala because he looks a little bit like Admiral Raddus, but this is almost certainly, or excuse me, this is absolutely after Rogue One because we have the Starhawk. And it isn't. I know that we got Admiral Akbar's son in The Rise of Skywalker, but he was much younger looking and not blue, I don't think. So we got a new Mancala, which I'm excited about. That is 100% Wedge Antilles. I am so sure. Look at that guy. That's Wedge. So that's cool. I don't recognize this guy either. No. I got the lady for Hope. It's just a hanger.
For the New Republic.
New Republic. So we're definitely. Is that? That might not be the TIE Raider. So the TIE. No. Anyway, so this ship I think is the TIE Raider from Rogue One, which is a little bit more of a troop carrier. It has bay doors that open on the bottom right here. And they just ferried around Death Troopers in Rogue One. It's not really a big deal. The other option is I know there was an unused ship design for Rise of Skywalker that ended up being built full size and is present in Galaxy's Edge theme park. uh, and I can't really tell off the top of my head if this is a raider or if it's that one. It could be that one, but this looks cool. It's just a slightly bigger ship. Usually, we see a lot of one-man starfighters.
Vengeance.
Very angry. See how the things pan down. So obviously they're coming out into a fight. I have no idea what this thing is. Uh, and I mean, it's my guess is it's just a stationary space thing. More Arca-10s, light cruisers. Yeah, they're just fighting. We got some Krellian corvettes. These lasers are new. I mean, obviously we have a sort of menacing overtone of like sustained lasers, green lasers especially because they're associated with the Death Star. We saw the Republic gunships sometimes use them, and they'll like kind of come. They'll even have the little dish, and it'll come into a cone and it'll fire. So this is kind of cool. The TIE bombers are usually for bombing, but they're just kind of generally heavy weapons platforms. So it makes sense that they would have a laser. I'm not sure why it's like just coming straight out of the bottom of the cockpit, but whatever. But clearly it's very powerful. That's absolutely Wedge Antilles, no question. This Y-wing has some green coloring, so clearly I mean, this would be really cool if this were Green Squadron and was literally like Hera's group. Wait, I'm sorry, I want to see Wedge again. Look at him. That's so cool. So they're bombing the inside of something. There's a U-wing in here. I mean, the first time we saw something, we blew up from the inside with the Death Star 2. So we were continuing a long honored Star Wars tradition. But we had a mission in Battlefront 2 2017. One of the scenarios was the Fondor shipyards, and the rebels were attacking the Fondor shipyards. And there was a part where you had to fly in into one of the areas and blow up some shield generators. So, but now that I'm looking closer at it, these pillars bear a striking resemblance to the archives in the I'm pulling like everything out tonight. From Rogue One, the archives on Scarif when they come in with K2 and Cassian and Jin, and they go into the vault and they're sitting at this window and they've got these pillars. It looks just like it, and they've even got these rings, but I like it. I feel like I can't imagine a situation in which there would be starfighters flying. They would like the pillars would be in a space big enough for the ships to fly through, and the ships would have to fly through it. So it's, I'm sure, a coincidence, and this is just a dumb design thing that I'm overthinking. I love the U-wing. The U-wing is so cool. So I didn't. So yeah. So like these are not the Y-wings that we see are usually with Gold Squadron, but these are painted similar to the X-wings. And this planet has cities. It is certainly not Coruscant though, so it could be. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Fondor, because if I remember correctly from the Battlefront 2 mission, I think Fondor has the cities and stuff. I just want to see. Sorry, I keep doing this. Yeah, so this looks a lot like it could be the Fondor shipyards, like this sort of circular and then radiating out. Looks a lot like the Fondor shipyards. They're blowing something up. Looks like the A-wings have a green on them too. So we're kind of following this one thing. It's just a space station, it looks like. This kind of reminds me of Reclam Station, the from Rebels where they were scrapping the Y-wings, but it looks a little too big.
I'm the perfect shot.
Maybe a mining asteroid. Perfect shot. Slow motion of a torpedo. We're blowing up some corvettes. So clearly, like, we're in the New Republic. They're like building stuff. The New Republic is the New Republic is so called famously like demilitarized. They really didn't want to have something. They wanted to do more what the Old Republic did. Look how that worked for them. But that's part of why it was so easy for the First Order to come in and wreck everything. So it's just interesting that they're building some stuff. They got some ships there that they're building. You know.
Makes history.
Opposing sides, mouse droid, love it. So this is our main character. Okay, so first of all, 3 female characters. I believe this person is a female, but 3. There's no human dudes. I know this is kind of, it might seem silly, but I think it's really cool, just by sheer virtue. Because I'm just really excited that we're telling more diverse stories in Star Wars, because we have had kind of the same stories from the same perspectives being told for a long time. And there's a lot of really cool artists that are working on Star Wars projects, and the artists are trying to tell their story, and their story is apparently this Trandoshan in a blue pilot suit. I don't know what his deal is. He looks very bright. But we got our main lady. We got this lady. I don't even like recognize that alien species, which is cute. He's got a big head, a little chunky. And then a Mirialan. So that's cool. They're walking all, purposefully. More X-wings. And then we got and this is a small thing. I like that they're different heights. I'm interested in this big boy over here who's not wearing a helmet. I wouldn't be surprised if they were an alien, which would be interesting. It's, I mean, really not the only, but not a lot of aliens in the Empire. We have Grand Admiral Thrawn, so it's kind of I think a special thing when they like whip out that sort of trope of the alien in the Imperial ranks. So if that's the way that they go, we'll see. Yeah, these people sure are Imperials.
Squadron.
The galaxy's finest.
Showdown. It's all very serious. No B-wings, which is kind of a bummer. This is a nice particle effect. Just a nice visual, nice shot. I love ship to ship, like not just like dogfighting, really anything. Like I love all starfighters and I love dogfighting, but I have a special place in my heart for anything that involves ships bigger than a starfighter. And that could be like just some of these Arca-10's cruisers, or it could be a bigger battle group like these guys. Or obviously the opening to Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith is like my favorite opening of all the Star Wars, because it's just so that'll be cool. It seems pretty clear to me that the gameplay is going to be from the cockpit seat. And now that I think about it, it would be pretty interesting if there was some way, because I was thinking like there's no way you're going to control these like capital ships, but it would be kind of cool if there was like a command system for your squad mates. They had that in Rogue Squadron games, and in the Republic Commando games you could give commands to your squad mates. So that would be really cool, like defend or join me or do whatever. There's all sorts of possibilities for that. And I just think the dynamics of like the logistics of the gameplay of managing capital ships like that is just so difficult. The Empire at War strategy game had a space component, and that was, I think, pretty well done, but it wasn't as one-to-one as you'd like. It was just grab, go here. Eve Online does a pretty good job of that sort of combat because it's kind of like math in space. But you don't nobody pilots starfighters in that game. In Eve Online, you are very surely the like commander of at least a small ship, and so you don't like control the ship. You click on an object in space and you say orbit it at this distance, and then it just kind of does it in the way that it does it. And that's, I think, a far cry from anything that we have going on here. So, um, but nevertheless, I will be excited to fly amongst some capital ships. I think the um, Battlefront 2 2017 Starfighter Assault scenarios were pretty fun. Especially, I really like the Fondor shipyard. It starts off, and there's two of these Architens cruisers that you have to destroy to move on to the next phase. And they're moving around in space, and like it's really cool. And you can like destroy the guns, and they go. And then a Republic Corvette comes in, and it's flying around, and you can defend it, or the Imperials can blow it up. And there was some movement there. Um, the There really wasn't a lot of like big capital ship movement in any of those scenarios. The in Fondor shipyards, the Star Destroyer is stationary, um, and the Star Destroyer is also stationary in the Death Star 2 map scenario. And there's at the end there's a Mon Cala cruiser that comes in, and it moves forward like a little bit throughout the last phase, but like I'd hardly call that kind of engaging capital ship combat. So we'll have to see how they handle it. I don't think that there will be any like control over what they do. It'll be based on whatever's happening in the story or in the level, but they can make it look cool. Yeah. So it looks like you got three X-wings, an A-wing, and a Y-wing. It's pretty balanced, I guess. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. Great. It's really cool. Um, I don't really have any other details. I haven't done any reading because I wanted to take a look at this for myself. But this is the splash image or part of it anyway. You can see there's Star Destroyer, TIE Fighter, TIE Bomber. This is what I saw. This is most certainly a TIE Raider, a la Rogue One. Um, so that could be the ship that we saw. I don't know. It's um I don't really know much about it other than it is in Rogue One, and it's kind of a troop carrier. I mean, maybe it's really useful in space in dogfights. I don't know. I don't know what they would all be doing on it. But we got some X-wings, Y-wings, A-wings, U-wings. Love the U-wings. I would love an opportunity to fly a U-wing again. Battlefront 2015 had there was some really good DLC Starfighter stuff. I actually completely forgot to mention this before, but Battlefront 1, the Death Star DLC, you got to do the trench run. It was so cool, very well made, and it wasn't just a straight line. It was actually like a serious obstacle course. It was really cool. But the other DLC it was right before Rogue One came out, but it was getting past the Shield Gate, and maybe two people at a time were picked to be U-wings, and that was really fun to fly around as that. So maybe we'll get a chance to do that. But and then we have this ship down here is actually, so we've only seen one of this type of ship before, and that is the Profundity in Rogue One. That's the ship of Admiral Raddus. And if you don't know, all of the Mon Cala ships, the big bulbous sort of weird cucumber looking guys, some of them have wings. I don't know. They are all buildings. Mon Cala is an ocean planet, and their buildings are underwater, and they just kind of chill like that. And they just turned them into ships. The rebels needed more stuff, and I guess they're also kind of ships, and I guess it wasn't like a huge amount of effort to like, I guess they're already space worthy. I'm not really sure what all the logistics behind it, but the idea is that all of the Mon Cala ships that we see that the rebels are using were formerly buildings, and The profundity, I love saying it, profundity, um, was a city hall. So that's just a fun little tidbit for you. Um, but I think that's all I have. It looks really cool. Um, I'm really excited to see what Motive has. I thought that they had a really cool thing going with the Inferno Squad Iden Versio arc in Battlefront 2. Um, I mean, it always could be longer, right? If you just dump more uh, production hours into something. But I thought it was pretty well fleshed out. But I'm excited for them to have like a whole game's worth of story and single player content. It doesn't look like these all look like original characters. I could see. I'm almost certain that that's not Alphabet Squadron. They would have named it Alphabet Squadron or called it Alphabet Squadron. So we'll see. I mean, so they're probably original characters. I don't know about the Imperials though; they could still be from the comic. But either way, I think it looks to be a very promising story. I really like, you know, the without getting into any story details for Battlefront 2 campaign, you really got a nice perspective of both sort of sides of the conflict, rebels and Imperials, and this seems to be kind of following in that thread. So that'll be really cool. We're clearly in the New Republic era. We the Battlefront 2 campaign takes place. It really starts at the destruction of the Death Star, the second Death Star, and it's all about operate the Emperor's contingency plan, Operation Cinder, which is basically a scorched earth sort of. Oh my gosh, we're gonna destroy stuff. Um, so that was kind of his thing, but then we also just kind of have the Imperials fighting amongst themselves. Obviously, if you kill the Emperor, the entire like Imperial machine is still there. So it takes a long time to for the Republic to resolve that whole conflict, and it ends at Jakku. So we're definitely like right in that pocket of more contentious conflict. And the Aftermath series really does a nice job of kind of delving into the political side of things, as far as the formation of the New Republic. So I'm not really sure what we're going to see from that. Now that I think about it, Wedge is in the Aftermath series, so I'll be really interested to see if like how things play out with that. If they're going to reference that stuff because that's the exact time period that Aftermath takes place in. It would I Now that I'm thinking about it, I would the one thing that I would love canon wise from this game, like my over the moon, not important like lore or narrative wise, but just fun little Easter egg would be if any of the characters, any of the original characters from Aftermath, if they are in this game, I will be over the moon. Most likely, other than Wedge, obviously, most likely is Nora Wexley, who was a Rebel Y-wing pilot who we see her Y-wing in Return of the Jedi in the fight, but she was one of the main characters of Aftermath, Y-wing pilot. Her son, uh, Temin Wexley, goes on to be nicknamed Snap Wexley, and we actually see his character in Force Awakens and not The Last Jedi, but Rise of Skywalker. Um, but so that would be really cute if we saw Nora Wexley at all. Like she wasn't really doing a lot of like starfighter piloting at the time, but that would be a nice little thing. A lot of the other characters are more like we could maybe no we they were kind of on their own adventure. I'm like they were around, so we'll see if they get if we see them. But that would be really cool. Um, I think that's about it. I've said I think all there is to say about this stuff. I'm really excited to see what they have cooked up. There's a lot to be said about Disney and EA, but I have a huge amount of just enthusiasm for the artists that are at Lucasfilm and at all these game studios that are. I mean, they're working on Star Wars. I mean, who doesn't want to work on Star Wars? They. I'm really excited to see all of the contributions rendered in Frostbite. Okay, so that answers that question. Um, I'm just really excited to see the stories that all these artists are going to make and continue to make in this fictional space. Um, but with that, I mean, thank you so much for watching all this. I did not plan on talking this long, but when you get me started on Star Wars, I just go on and on and on. But you know what? It's my video. It's my channel. I can do whatever I want. So, please engage with me in my content in whatever way you see appropriate, whatever way you feel is warranted, and I will catch you in the future. Thank you so much.